I don't think knitting should be a rich person's hobby, but if you spend any time online on knitting Instagram or knitting TikTok, you'd be forgiven for thinking so. Too often we see online sweaters with about 100 to 200 pounds worth of yarn in them being pitched as the norm. People think that you therefore have to spend that amount of money to have a good quality piece that'll last, that you'll like, and that is just not the case at all. So I'm somebody who always keeps cost in mind, and while occasionally I might choose to splurge on a fancy yarn for a particularly special project, generally speaking, I like to look for a good quality, cost-effective yarn. And in my knitting journey, there've been quite a few that I found myself reaching for again and again because they just deliver every single time. So here is 4 such yarns that are really good quality, that are cost-effective, that are good on sensitive skin, which is key if you're a sensitive skin girly like me, and won't do you wrong if you choose to use these yarns. So the first yarn I'm going to talk about is the Sirdar Hayfield Bonus Aran with wool. I made my first ever proper Aran jumper with all the cables in this yarn. I have made numerous scarves in this yarn. My long dog sampler tapestry I've made in this yarn. Multiple bits and pieces of random things, because I have so much of this yarn, it ends up being put into lots of things where I'm using a number of different Aran weight yarns. This has gone into it. I've made a Lincoln Newman jumper with a lot of this yarn mixed in with different types of Aran. It is a great choice. Now, the reason for that is because, one, it's really good for sensitive skin. So as I said, made loads of jumpers with it. I could just wear them literally. I mean, I don't often wear things without a shirt underneath, but I could wear it absolutely without a shirt on underneath because it is just smooth on the skin. You don't have any issues with the collar rubbing. You don't have any issues with the sleeves. Like, it's a really, really good non-itchy option. Secondly, it's machine washable. So I mean, that's always really, really useful. Although I will put one tip on this. It's machine washable as per its instructions, which I believe is at 30 degrees. Even if it says 40, I'd probably stick with 30. Do not wash it on a higher temperature and do not wash it on a strong cycle because, I mean, goes without saying, it's kind of obvious, but my husband unfortunately did that with one of my jumpers. It still fits, it's still a lovely jumper, still soft, but it's a little bit stretched out because it was put on too hot of a wash. Another thing I'd say is really good with this is it blocks really well. One thing about a lot of synthetic yarns is that they don't block in the classic way. So obviously a wool or a cotton or something like that, when you block, you're going to see a difference in your projects. A lot of acrylics, it doesn't really make a difference. It might slightly even out your stitch, but it's not going to change the sizing. This is the same. Will even out your stitches a little bit, but will not change the size of it, which I think is actually quite a good thing a lot of the time. You don't really have to think too much about, oh, and what's going to happen? Is this going to ruin when it blocks? No. It will not ruin it blocks. It's just a really, really great, really durable choice, really inexpensive. Comes in 400 gram balls and it's about £10, maybe £11 for one of those 400 gram balls. So it's super, super cost effective. If you're making something, you know, making a jumper, maybe you only need 2 of those balls. So it's £20 for the whole jumper. So really good. And as I said, the composition is 80% acrylic, 20% wool. So it's kind of like best of both. Yeah, I just can't recommend it enough, really. Lots of really, really lovely colours. I've done things in all number of colours, haven't used absolutely all of the colours that they've got available, but I've used quite a lot of them. So I just think it's a really good, solid, cost-effective choice for sensitive skin. My second yarn is Cascade Heritage yarn. It is 75% superwash merino wool and 25% nylon. So this is a sock yarn, but I've used it for a number of different things. So I've used it for the Jeepers jersey I made by what Lydia made. I've used it for numerous socks. I've used it for a little lace collar that I did. Admittedly, that was held with mohair, but nevertheless, it's really, really great. And what makes it so amazing, it's super soft on skin. I mean, it's like delectably soft on your skin. It's really, really nice, but it's also really, really durable. So as I said, I've made a number of socks with this and it's machine washable as well. And I just bang them in the washing machine and just with my normal wash, and that's absolutely fine. Like, my favorite socks ever that I wear all the time are a pair of lace socks. If I made them out of many of the other sock yarns that I've used, they would be toast by now. They'd be destroyed. But week after week, I can still wear these socks. They are amazing. So yeah, if you've got sensitive skin, really, really great. They've got a huge range of colors. Like, every color you can imagine. That's one thing that Cascade does really well. They do all sorts of colors you could have. So really lovely for colorwork socks as well, if you're thinking of doing that. So I made a pair of Pokemon socks with these, and I really want to remake some socks that I've made in this because it's a lot more durable than some of the 100% wools that I've used for other socks, which unfortunately tend to wear through on the sole. Such a good choice. As I said, I've knitted a whole top out of it as well, and that's really, really soft on the skin. So I don't really think you can go wrong with this. One hank of this is about £10 in the UK, which might at first blush seem, okay, well that doesn't seem that cost effective, but this is 100 grams. So actually it works out pretty good. It goes a really, really long way. And as I said, the quality is amazing. So would highly recommend. My next yarn is Drops Nepal. So this is an Aran weight yarn by Drops. It is part wool, part alpaca. It is beautifully soft. It is really lovely on the skin, really, really soft. They have a really lovely range of colors. So this one is this variegated sort of orange yarn with lots of really lovely colors in it. I've previously made things in their olive mix. I've made things in their forest mix. It is just a really beautiful yarn, knits up really nicely, really, really soft, really inexpensive. In the UK, it's £2 something for a 50-gram ball, which is pretty good. Obviously, it's 100% natural fibers. So I think this is a really good choice if you want something natural, but you've got sensitive skin. This is just a lovely choice for you. It also works really well in color work. So I've done multiple color work sweaters using this, and also using Drops Alaska, which I also like. Honorable mention for Drops Alaska. But I think this just takes the biscuit, is that the word? Just nips it a little bit, because I just think it's a little bit softer and the color range is a little bit nicer for Drops Nepal. So really, really good, solid choice. Okay, my final go-to yarn is Winter Glow Solid by Hobbii. Now, disclaimer on this, I originally was introduced to this yarn through a brand deal that I did with Hobbii. So they sent me this yarn and I knit some stuff up with it. But I absolutely love this yarn. And let me be very clear, I get absolutely no money from people buying this yarn. I'm not leaving any links for it. You can go find it yourself, so you know for sure I'm not trying to sneak in an affiliate link there. This is another synthetic mix, but you wouldn't know it. Feels just like wool. It is, I think it's something like 51% wool and 49% acrylic, or maybe it's the other way around. It's just slightly more one than the other. But it acts like wool. Break it like you would wool. It's got like a really rich, variegated colors to it. I've got this yarn in a number of different colors, and it all is really, really lovely. I've knitted loads of stuff with this. So I've knitted a jumper, I've knitted a dog bed, I've knitted part of Merlin's lederhosen. I just think it knits really, really lovely. And so this yarn at first, I think is something like, for this 100-gram ball, is £11. Now, listen, I know you're thinking, well, that's actually not cheap. That doesn't sound. But one, it's always on sale. But two, this goes really, really far. So if you actually look at the yardage of it, this is 350 meters, which is a lot. A lot of other DK weight, you'll have a lot less than that. And yeah, it's just really, really soft, really great for your skin, but has that lovely rustic feel to it. Works really, really lovely for color work as well. As I said, I made a dog bed out of it, which the dog and the cats love. So if you've got pets, and obviously part of Merlin's lederhosen is made out of it as well. So this is made out of it, the bottoms of it, and part of the blouse is made out of it as well. It's just a really lovely yarn in lovely colors. Don't know if you can get it everywhere in the world, because I know it's obviously based in Denmark, but if you can, I would really recommend that you give it a try. It's really, really lovely yarn. So those are my go-to yarns that I've used again and again. These aren't all the yarns that I use, and there are other yarns that I have used quite a few times, such as Let Loffy, which I love, but I could not come on here and be like, this is really great for sensitive skin, because it is not great for sensitive skin. So I think I'll do a separate one in the future talking about my favorite itchy yarns, because some of the best wools in the world, some of the most beautiful wools are wildly itchy. But yeah, I hope those helped. And I also hope that maybe if you're somebody who had heard a lot of bad things about synthetic yarns, that maybe if you give some of these a try, you can actually begin to see what the benefits are, because it's really, really lovely for sensitive skin, and obviously a lot of it is more cost effective. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, I'd love it if you could like, subscribe, and as I said, if you've got any thoughts on these yarns or any yarns that you would consider an absolute holy grail yarn, then please leave that in the comments, and I hope to see you soon.